Welcome back to Kaulignation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig Racing, Dingernation, SVGNation, and more. I'm Sean. There's no Ryan in this video. He'll be back in the rest of the videos for this week. This video, we're going to talk about the Michigan review. We're going to preview Mexico and Ram and Dodge back in NASCAR. Is that a good idea or is it wishful thinking? Our multiple choice question for this video is: how do you think SVG and AJ Allmendinger will fare this weekend at Mexico in the Cup Series? Will it be a win, a top five, a top 10, or worse? Share your thoughts down below. Big shout out to Lynn, our new channel sponsor here at Kaulignation, our first one that we've had on this channel. She runs the SVG Nation Facebook page. It's a page that we created and put her in charge of. She does a fantastic job over there. If you're an SVG fan, that is the place to be. Let's dive into it, though. All right, so Michigan has come and gone, and let's start with SVG. We're going to talk about him a couple of times in this video, so bear with me. Um, he ran, early on. He was around 30th. And it was one of those cases where he progressively got better as the race went on. He had a couple of restarts that didn't go his way where he went backwards, but the car had speed. All the Trackhouse cars had speed. Frankly, all the ECR engines had speed at Michigan, which surprised me. I was pretty cynical about that going into that weekend. And you know what? Shout out to Mike Cook at Kaulig Racing, who said that we might be surprised, and he was right. So we look forward to having Mike on the channel soon. Um, yeah, SVG finishes 18th at Michigan. Some people might scoff at that result, but there is no doubt in my mind when you look at the trajectory of where he has gone from early this season on ovals to where he's at now. You're talking about a guy who is starting to consistently contend for top 20 finishes. That's the difference between being 20th, 22nd, 23rd in points and being down in the 30s, because we all know SVG can take care of business on the road courses. Whether he wins or not, it's hard to win in NASCAR, but they should be excellent point days for him. So if he can change his ovals from 30ths to 20ths and better, you're going to see some massive improvement in him. You're going to want to check out our next video too, by the way, touching on the SVG stuff from last week, a lot of the rumors that Jordan Bianchi brought up. We feel like we've uncovered what's actually going on, and it might surprise some people, but we do think there's some smoke to the fire there, and we'll have to see what happens. But check out our video. It should be out tomorrow on that. If not tomorrow, then Thursday, but we'll try our best for tomorrow. AJ Allmendinger had a lot of speed this weekend, was very good, was excellent on restarts. One restart, he went from I want to say it was 29th to 13th or something like that. Just an absolute crazy restart, making up that many positions in a couple of laps. Just wild. Um, they had speed, and they're still close to the cut line. I went into Michigan going, just don't fall all that far back from the cut line, and I'm happy. Um, Unfortunately, he sped on pit road. That hurt him, and there was a couple of short pit stops. I understand that you got to pit longer for fuel, but when I look at that opportunity there, it's probably the difference between them finishing somewhere between 10th and 12th and 17th, and frankly, taking them out of a chance at stage points in stage two. So. Need to be better on pit road all around. I'm sure they will be. Dillon had speed too this weekend. He's had speed a lot this year. He's been far more impressive than I ever would have thought possible. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to piece together finishes. And that's the difference between him being 30th in points right now and him being closer to where AJ is. The cars have run similar. Ty just can't seem to put the finishes together. Moving on to Dodge and Ram. They announced this weekend that Ram is going to return to the NASCAR Truck Series in 2026 with an intention on being in the Cup Series by 2027. That feels aggressive. 2028 is probably more likely. But the one thing I got to warn people about here, and I can't wait to get Ryan's take on this and all your take if there's any Dodge people out there. I grew up a Dodge fan, but I'm impartial. I call things like I see them. They constantly defunded their teams when they were in NASCAR last. And when you consider it, their stay in NASCAR the last time was not very long. And why should any team trust them? At the moment, they have no truck teams lined up for next season. They hope to have 6, and then you want to get a Cup Series team or two, and I don't mean one or two cars. I mean, I think they like to have a couple of teams running Dodge by 2027, 2028. Unless these guys are going to get full factory backing, a ton of sim time, pardon me, and so much more. I just don't see that happening. I'm not saying they're not going to get into trucks, but I think there's some lofty expectations here. I think there's some burnt bridges, and unless you entice some teams with a big fat check, I think this is going to be harder than people think. On to Mexico. Look, this is the AJ Allmendinger SVG Watch weekend. Most of the Cup guys have never ran there. I'm excited to see the Xfinity Series race this weekend too. But most of the Cup guys have not run at Mexico. We'll have to wait and see what happens in regards to that. But this is a huge weekend for AJ and SVG for both of those guys. SVGs probably need to win and in. AJ's not. AJ's in a points race right now for the playoff spot. Unless AJ has a winning car and he's clearly, the first or second best car on track and not the fifth or sixth, I think you got to take the stage points in both stages, and I think not doing that is a mistake. Leave it to AJ in stage 3 to try to get himself back into position to win. But I'm looking at those two guys as the favorites this weekend. I got SVG a little higher than AJ. I do believe SVG's raced on that track more recently, although it's a different configuration. I just cannot wait to get to Mexico. It's one of my favorite F1 tracks. Looking forward to it. Don't forget, we got a stream Sunday for the Cup Series. Watch the race with us. We can't wait. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next video.